This episode is brought to you by Surefoot, your local boot fitter. Book a boot fitting now because October 24th through 26th, you can save 20% on 2026 model ski boots. Visit Surefoot Big Sky and step into your best season yet at surefoot.com. Water adequacy. Start that over. We're talking about water adequacy for residential development, or WARD, today on the podcast. We're talking to Nathan Stein, Executive Director at Headwaters Community Housing Trust, Douglas Fischer, former adjunct professor at Montana State University, appointed member of Bozeman City Commission, and a mayoral candidate, most importantly. Thank you for being here on Outlaw Beat, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
we're stoked about it.
We're pretty easy to talk to, I feel. What is WARD? We're here to talk about WARD. What is WARD in this community? Yeah, Nathan, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So let's start by talking about what cash in lieu of water rights is. Do you find that's a helpful way to go about it?
Let's start bigger picture.
Yeah,
right?
Bigger picture.
So WARD is an aspirational effort to deal with two really big problems that are confronting Bozeman and I would say Gallatin Valley: affordability and water supply. And so what WARD does is it kind of links these two in a somewhat unique way that and that it says if you don't have, as a developer, if you don't have a municipal water supply or water route, right, you need to build one-third of your development needs to be affordable, and that, I guess that's the gist of it. It says basically that if you're going to build in Bozeman and you don't have a water right for your building, you can buy your way out of it, but you need to make a one-third of your development affordable at a fairly steep affordability level. And that's kind of the overview, I would say. And we can get into details of kind of how the mechanics, but that's the nut and bolt off.
And this is an issue that everyone is going to be voting on in the next municipal election, and we are all going to give this a thumbs up or thumbs down.
It's a yes-no vote. It's a citizen initiative. So they gathered signatures this spring. I think they needed to get 15% of the electorate, or about 5,000 signatures, to put it on the ballot.
Okay.
Could you tell me, my son's in debate, and I really love the fact that in debate he learns both sides, right? Could you give me both sides of this topic? Are you able to?
I could try.
I know. You're going to have to pretend to be someone else for a second.
But do you want to give why don't you give...
I can give it a go.
Sure.
Okay. So I think the pro-WARD argument is one that I think most of us can sympathize with. I think ultimately what they're saying is... we have a finite water supply, and we have an affordability problem, and we're not getting enough affordable housing fast enough. I'm the executive director of an organization that's trying to create more affordable housing in the community, and I can definitely agree with that latter sentiment. I think we want to accelerate the rate of development of affordable housing in this community, and I think we've made big gains with some of the policies that the city has put in place. I think the argument that the authors of WARD are making is that we can squeeze more affordability out of the development community through a mandate like this.
Okay.
Because bottom line, the people who are going to be paying for the new affordable housing are the developers and the purchasers of the non-affordable.
I think there's
housing?
an assumption in the pro-WARD argument that if we can dig into developer profits a little more, there's enough in there to subsidize more affordability. And I think the calculation they're making, the math doesn't quite bear it out. Yeah.
Got it. And so people that are opposed to it, what are they saying right now?
Yeah, I'll take that one too, and I'll let Douglas come in. I think. So we're a developer of below market housing. So our foundational project was the Bridgerview neighborhood, which is adjacent to Story Mill Park on the northeast side of Bozeman. the cost to develop a unit of housing at Bridgerview, on average, there were different floor plans and stuff, but it was around $700,000 per unit. And that's the land, it's the materials, it's what we paid our general contractor and all the subs to put the sticks together and build the homes. And it's the interest that we paid on the loan that we got from the bank to make it happen.
Yeah.
So $700,000, that's your break-even price. But we wanted to sell it at a price that's affordable to middle-income households in Bozeman. So that's more like $350 to $400,000.
Yeah.
So that means to sell a below-market unit, you're taking a loss. And we call that the capital gap, the difference between the development cost and the affordable price. And capital gaps exist across any kind of new construction of below-market housing, whether it's middle-income for-sale projects like we work on, or low-income housing tax credit rental projects. All that to say, board is mandating a really deep level of affordability at a third of units in a project without creating new sources of subsidy that a developer like us or a for-profit developer can tap to bridge that gap and make it possible.
Yeah.
And our contention is that breaks pretty much every project in Bozeman.
Right.
If you mandate a high level of affordability without providing access to a subsidy, the project doesn't work, and then no housing gets built.
So if it passes, it's like throwing the brakes on all the development.
That's how we see it.
Okay.
And I think we've seen this in cities like Boulder and Santa Fe that have tried similar approaches to put a brake on development. It forces prices up inside the city, and it sends sprawl outside.
It seems like maybe this idea is not fully formed. Is there a grown-up version of Ward that you think might make more sense?
Wow, did you just tell them their idea is not fully formed?
No, absolutely.
It's not
and
their
this is-
idea.
I know.
This is why I got to say I'm grateful for Ward proponents for putting this issue front and center. We're having a community discussion on affordability and growth, and that is, I think, a great thing. It's definitely got a lot of attention, which we would not be having otherwise. I'll be
definitely
full disclosure, right? Full disclosure. Also, I think a no vote is the best vote for Ward. What I do say as your mayoral candidate, as a city commissioner, is that we need to. No matter what happens November 4th, by November 5th, we need to be having a community discussion on what are our solutions for affordability in this town. And it is, it's a big toolbox that we need with a lot, there's no silver bullet. And that's the thing. I think Ward is kind of like a silver bullet, thinking we're just going to, 33%, that's, we'll get the affordable housing we need. We need to take little slices of this. We need to be working with Headwaters and, trusted community land trusts. We need to be working with Bozeman School District and MSU that have kind of land near, employment hubs. We need to be working with developers. There's a developer who wants to bring in 200 small starter homes, 900 to 1,200 square feet, that he can sell for $500,000 each. To do that, he needs some cooperation from the city permitting process, right? So there's a lot of little tiny slices we can do, and I think we should look at this cash in lieu option, which we kind of sidelined, right? But we should look at okay, if you don't have water rights and you need to buy your way out of that obligation, maybe we do take a little slice of you for that. But 33% is everyone I've talked with is way too big. Maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%. I don't know, But that's a discussion I think we should get builders in the room with. The citizens did not have the builders. They didn't have experts like Nathan in the room as they drafted this. That's a discussion I think we need to start having on November 5th.
Okay.
Got it. We should discuss it with our neighbor who's a water rights lawyer.
It's true.
That's good. Who's your neighbor?
Mike Cusack. Have you heard of him?
Cusick.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, please.
I'm sorry. I just want to add, last week I had the opportunity to be in Missoula for a regional conference of other community land trusts, so organizations similar to Headwaters. And we go to these places and we talk to land trusts that are working in states like Oregon and Washington. And so I was talking to the guy who runs development for the Community Land Trust in Bend, Oregon. Bend is a really similar community to
love
Bozeman.
Bend.
Well,
Yeah.
I love Bend too. I went to school in Eugene, so spent
Nice.
a lot of time there. And I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, we've got an active pipeline of 250 new below market homes that we're going to sell at 80% of the area median income.
How?
And I said,
Yeah,
how?
I know.
How?
Like,
I said,
great.
yeah, good for you. And like trying to
Wow.
stifle my jealousy, just asked him, how are you doing this? And it's not easy for them. It's still, there's a lot of work that goes into development. It's always a risky endeavor, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit. But the how is, state of Oregon has a housing trust fund that they send into communities that bridges the gaps on these projects and allows them to happen. And we don't have anything like that here in Bozeman. And you can look at our project, Bridge Review, as an example of what's possible when you have north of $10 million of philanthropy from a philanthropic partner that has a vision and wants to see it through. For our next project, we're likely operating on a much smaller scale than that because that philanthropic partner spent all their money and sunset their operations. So I think, us, other housing organizations and partners in the community would love to have a bigger pipeline and be making a bigger impact, but it's just hard to do it if there isn't that dedicated revenue stream that we can be tapping into.
Yeah.
So, you look at Big Sky, what they've been able to do with the resort tax, being able to tap into, the $1 billion of tourist dollars that flow through our communities every year would go a long way towards making a bigger dent.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something, sorry, I'm getting stuck in the weeds for a second, but I wonder if there's something with the cost, say that $700,000. You're using developers, you're using suppliers, and I understand supply you can't really have much wiggle room with, but the people that are putting in the work and charging those amounts for their labor, if there's a way that they could donate some of that labor cost, get a tax break from that if it's a donation or something along those lines. Have you ever looked at that route?
Yeah, totally. And I should note that Bridge Review is a special project too.
Right.
So that $700,000 price tag, we're also talking about a LEED Platinum certified community, like cutting edge of sustainability.
Yeah.
We take a lot of pride in that. But
that's great.
Not every below market housing project has to be LEED.
Okay.
You can be sustainable in other ways and try to bring the cost down. But what we were trying to do with that project was be really aspirational and kind of change the way that people think about what it looks like to build affordable housing. Because there's often there's a term in creating affordable housing called value engineering, and that's when you kind of create your ideal of the project, and the price tag's too high, so you start cutting stuff. You get some cheaper materials, a cheaper bid on construction, and you can do all that to bring the initial price down, but you end up with housing that doesn't necessarily stand the test of time, or isn't necessarily something that we could be really proud of. So. I think more specifically to what you're saying, like how can we try and bring these costs down? We definitely want to work with partners that want to offer that are mission oriented, and that could be lenders who are community partners who can loan construction funding at lower costs, lower interest rates. Yeah. We can't do much about material costs. That pretty much is what it is. Labor costs also, I don't want to be out here saying that the solution to our housing crisis is to, cut the wages of the building community in Bozeman. And I know that's not what you're saying either.
Pay the people working the same amount, but the company could take a hit in a way where they could offset some taxes by saying, all right, this is my donation back end.
And I should note, we had amazing partners on the Bridge Review project from Kamakyu, who was our architect, and Langlis, who was our GC that really stepped up in a lot of ways throughout the course of the project too. So,
very cool.
But I think Douglas is saying like partnerships are really important. Yeah.
I mean, it's worth noting that philanthropy came out of Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who in Bozeman who have benefited from Bozeman, and I think that could be, not to name and shame here, but I think we could build, and we have a number of banks, a number of individuals are trying to build a $10 million kind of housing fund, right? And if we can get that kind of going and use it almost as like a flywheel in terms of either revolving funds or kind of like what the Oregon legislature is doing, I think we could start to get closer to some of these goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was talking to outgoing Mayor Terry Cunningham the other day, and he basically said that we as a community, Bozeman is underbuilt and has been since like the housing crisis of 2008. That hangover lingers. Are we finally on track now to catch up?
Are we built?
Are we?
I think we've done a great job with multi-story, multi-unit apartments, right? Multi-family
that have
apartments.
flown up. They have flown. I'm like,
And that
Fair.
was, I mean, just think about where we were 3 or 4 years ago coming out of the pandemic, right? The vacancy rate was almost in the negatives, right? I mean, it was vanishingly small. It was really hard to find a rent. We were really in a crisis. And I think the city commission then kind of went all in terms of density, in terms of, these multifamily apartments. I think where we could now put our attention to, and where we're definitely underbuilt, I don't think we've built a single family kind of residential development in this town in 7-8 years. I think we need to focus on kind of that missing middle, starter homes, single family starters homes. So as you come out of a apartment, want to have a family, start a family, put down some roots, you have a place.
Literally.
Yeah, just all that is happening in Belgrade.
Exactly.
Not
If you
really
want
in
to buy a
Bozeman.
brand new single family home, you're either in the county or in Belgrade.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's hard to look at a vacancy rate and say, okay, now we're overbuilt and we can stop doing everything, because in the below market housing world, we kind of talk about the different income levels and the different housing types that are needed for different income levels. So if and we use the term area median income as a metric to kind of measure that. So if you're at like 30% or below of the area median income, that's when we're talking about like shelter services and transitional housing. As you work up the ladder, that's when we get into our subsidized rental housing. You get into your middle income. Ideally, that's where you're able to start to buy into a starter home. And now we've got a double-digit vacancy rate, which is really good for renters. I mean, I was a renter. I still am a renter, but being a renter from 2021 through 2023, it was brutal.
Rough.
And you couldn't find anything. I mean, we were on Zillow looking for something, and there were no listings. And we were lucky to get into a basement apartment that we could rent for like $1,500 a month. I was at a nonprofit making not very much, but I was lucky that we were a 2-person household that could go in on a 1-bedroom apartment, and I think a lot of folks are kind of depending on a partner to make that work. But all that to say, and Douglas noted it, we have a huge inventory of this like multifamily housing that has stopped rents from going up for now, and I think it speaks to the fact that like Bozeman is a growing community. People will always be coming here because we've got the mountains, we've got the rivers, for all the reasons that the 4 of us love to live here. Yeah. People always come, and we always need to be building housing to meet those needs.
Are we looking at a 50% growth between now and 2045? Is that accurate?
I haven't seen the latest numbers. I know we have slowed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
We were growing at a 5% clip, which is frankly unsustainable for any city.
Yeah.
We're now at closer to 1.9%. I think the growth picture in this community, in this valley, is going to change over the next 3 years or so. Part of that is there's a lot of national uncertainty. Part of it is that we have a lot of excess kind of multi-unit, multifamily capacity. So it's gonna change, and the builders are already shifting, right? We're seeing applications for more condos and apartment buildings are switching to single family. So the market is kind of doing what the market you hope to do.
It is, and winter's going to chase some people off. I have heard in grocery store lines and like places where I'm waiting, where people are like, "Yeah, I thought I could do it," and then they're just like, winter starts to hit in October, and they're like, "I'm not ready," and you're like, "Why'd you move here?"
Totally.
Like this is It used to be 9 months of winter, but like we got about 8.
I know
months
it's
now.
so late now, right?
I know. So like, I liked the population control of winter in Montana for the longest time. So if we come back to that, it will probably slow a little bit more. All right, so back to the W in Ward.
All right.
Sorry, did you want to say something
Well,
else?
I just was wondering, Nathan, maybe if you could speak to this. One of the things we hear a lot from the pro-ward side that I'm troubled by is this notion that all we're building in town is luxury condos, luxury apartments, and that we don't have a housing crisis per much as we have an affordability crisis. We have builders that are building for the top of the market, and so folks who are making $50,000, $60,000 a year here, have to live with roommates. And I
hate my roommate. Leaves his stuff everywhere.
I know,
Right.
exactly. Dishes in the sink. You just don't want that.
Actually, not this
Who
guy.
wants
He's
that?
pretty good.
But I'm having trouble refuting that. Partly it's like, well, they're looking at rents that are $2,000 for a 2-bedroom or whatever, right? But I look like at what we've built in Western, out by Gallatin High School, where it's a lot of family housing, right? Yeah. But that's a persistent argument. I think it's a persistent. It has taken root in this community, and I don't have
I think it's a
answer to
visibility thing, probably.
Yeah.
The most visible developments are the ones right along Main Street, and those are the ones that are luxurious.
It's also not helped by every new development calls itself luxury housing.
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily a luxury product in terms of what's being built, or even luxury prices.
Right.
I mean, I'd argue
Nobody wants to go,
We
hey,
live-
we are proudly middle class
Yeah,
housing.
yeah,
It's like,
totally.
I don't know. You and I would build middle class housing and be like high
we
five,
don't-
like have people
Yeah.
high five.
That's why we are not profitable.
We're
We
gonna
don't make
charge
money.
our-
Well, that's what
Cover else.
we're trying to be a nonprofit developer and build middle income housing too. But yeah, I think I would challenge folks. Again, someone who's been a renter my whole time in Bozeman. Lived through 21 through 22. We got rent hikes both of those years. We moved into it was an apartment building over off of like 19th and Kagi. And in 21 we moved in, we were paying $1,800 a month for a one bedroom, which jaws usually hit the floor when you hear that. And they bumped us up to $1,900 the next year, and the year after that, all of a sudden 19th and Graph over there had got built, and they were leasing new stuff at like $2,000 a month. So pretty much in line with what we were paying, but in an apartment that was like 10 years older. So we told our landlords like we want to stick around, but we think it's a little overpriced. We asked for $1,800 and they countered at $1,750. And I looked back last week and that same unit's now at $1,575. So I think we're seeing the impact of having this new product. It does put downward pressure on the older stuff, and also the new stuff. With a lot of the incentives, you're seeing a one bedroom that's coming in under $1,800, and I know that still sounds like a lot, but we talk about area median incomes and affordable housing being 30% of your pre-tax income. A lot of the new stuff, it's in the price range of middle income households too. I think if you go in and you look at the rents that's borne out, we're getting a lot of high end stuff too, but today's high end is 10, 15, 20 years from now, that's your average housing for folks that are just trying to get a foothold in the community.
It's not going to get a lot of people crying for the landlords.
Yeah.
No. Will get me crying for that one bedroom house I had on Church Avenue for $450 a month.
Way back in the day. Yeah.
People love telling you that their mortgage is less than your rent.
On to the W
On to
in
the W.
Ward. Okay, there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there regarding the water supply in Gallatin Valley. Some people are saying it's a finite. Well, I mean, most water supplies are finite. Some people are saying it is not sustainable with the amount of growth that we have. There are people in our neighborhood. We have people with big old lawns that water the whole things, and so we've got the naysayers. Actually, probably Joe and I. They're like, "Why do they need to water all that?" So that's one side of it. But then you've got something that we saw as a fact, or maybe a fact on the internet, that Bozeman has some of the lowest daily water use per capita in the region. Is that true?
In the West.
In the West. Interesting. Okay. So tell me more about Bozeman's water supply, or Gallatin Valley's water supply. What are we looking at?
Sure. So we, through a number of different measures, have managed to grow Bozeman. In the past 10 years, we've added 14,000 new residents without using an extra gallon of water. So we're using the same amount of water we did in 2014 as we do today, but we have 14,000 more residents. And we've done that by various conservation efforts. New lawns, for new development, for instance, has to have a smaller lawn footprint. We have new, when you put in a new irrigation system, you have to use more efficient sprinklers. And so there's a number of, and we've gone to this. I think this, we called them a drought measure for first, but we have kind of kept them in year round about watering on even days or odd days, depending on what side of the street you are. And I think so that has allowed us to grow without using more water, right? And we've done it in a way that is frankly the envy of certainly Montana and most of the West. And so we now have, again, because we're also, constantly kind of acquiring water rights as we can, right? Mm-hmm. We're using 42% of our available supply, or 43%, somewhere there, of our available supply during a normal year. In a drought year, that goes up to 60%. So, but we have this buffer. So that, but let's, so that's part of how we got to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact remains we are in a closed basin, and we need to be conscientious of how we use our water. But it's not a crisis where it's like the taps are about to come off.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start funneling water from Canyon Ferry or something.
And you can
like that.
shower or something. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Close half the public bathrooms in
That's right,
town.
that's
Listen, I'm teaching
Problem
my
takes care of
students.
itself.
We're doing the water cycle right now, and a big portion of what
Yeah.
I am wanting to teach them. You've heard of One Well? It's like a book. Where it talks about how much water we have and how much is salt water and how much is like frozen, how much of that tiny amount left over from salt water, which is like 2.7%, is frozen in glaciers, and then underground water versus what's in the soil and in the plants, and that like 1%, less than 1% is what we can drink. And all my students are just like, and they're like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, I can tell you some things. So I do think it's important to start teaching our kids now, like, to conserve still, because I think some of the adults in this community are pretty savvy. Is there something that you would, if you were me, tell your students in this formative time of their life? Is there something that you would say regarding water and how they should conserve it? It's one of the biggest things they could do.
Wow.
That's a big question, sorry.
No. Well,
Nathan, you can answer that too if you've got something.
Well, Douglas, isn't it true that in the summertime, like 50% of our water use as a community is going into landscaping?
yes, that's what I was. That's what I would start with. I would say like you could cut your water use in half
Yeah.
by not watering your lawn.
Yeah.
Right. I'm currently in the process of replacing all of my grass with clover, which uses far less
Yeah,
water. Like,
cool.
you barely ever have to water, and it's so much prettier and softer than grass. Like, I'm a huge clover fan. So, like,
Doesn't do anything to keep the deer away. Noticed.
yeah,
It's true. They're all about it.
it's fine.
Another interesting thing I think also is, so, how the amazing thing about water is that we can use it and reuse it, and it can go back in, right? So it goes back. It stays in the ecosystem, right? It's not like water is disappearing from the earth, right?
Right.
It's
Matter
not like-
cannot be created or destroyed, Joe.
I think that gives us a number of different opportunities and things to think about, right? For instance, somebody growing an acre of alfalfa on the edge of town in 3 months uses more water, considerably more water, than if we were to build that acre out at city level density and use and have people there year round, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that I think the other thing that is that this land was at some point when it was the Valley of the Flowers, right? It was before settlers. It was basically a huge wetlands, and when we dug irrigation channels, we changed it. And now, as those irrigation channels are no longer being used, it's changing again, and we need to be thinking about this. I mean, we're a little in the weeds here, so to speak, but we need to, as we grow, I think we also need, we're changing the groundwater here, and we've got to think about also how we keep water like in these irrigation ditches in part so that we're providing for groundwater. And I think all of this requires a certain amount of creativity and flexibility, and that flexibility and creativity costs money, right? And that brings me back to this water initiative, where what the city is doing right now is saying, okay, if you don't have the water, you can buy your way out of it as a developer at a rate of about $6,000 per acre feet. And an acre feet, do you tell your students what that is?
An acre feet?
Acre feet of water, acre foot of water.
Oh, no. What is an acre foot?
It is the amount of water you need to cover an acre of land to a foot, 1 foot deep in water.
Okay.
It sounds like a lot of water.
300,000 gallons.
Yeah.
326,000 gallons.
Okay.
Right?
An acre foot.
So there is no market for water in the state. Weirdly enough, I can't say, hey, I've got an acre foot of water. I'll sell it to you, right?
Right.
But figuring out that number is a bit of a science and a bit of an arbitrary number. The city has put a figure at $6,000. We were talking with a water attorney who says he deals with acre feet. The value that he's dealing with when he in the few times he transacts in water is anywhere from $1.50 to $6 per acre foot. right?
Wow.
Yeah. So that tells you, in the agriculture world, how cheap water is
Seriously.
versus how expensive it is in municipalities. It also says that, okay, if we get $6,000 from an acre foot per acre foot from developers, we have this money to then get creative with water.
Yeah.
In this, right?
Man, Dasani would go broke trying to compete with those kind of prices.
God, that is. That's pretty good.
And our central tank is Highlight Reservoir.
That is roughly 40% of our water comes out of Highlight.
Okay.
40% comes out of Bozeman Creek. 20% comes out of Lyman Springs in the Bridgers.
Oh, I never knew Bozeman Creek was
How
a
about that?
source.
All right. I'm going to do one more question for both of you, and then that'll be it for the interview
All right.
portion. Is that good? Okay.
Sounds fine.
So, Douglas, if you win the mayorship, you're looking at an underbuilt city with rising land and labor costs, an increasing wealth gap, and maybe a water shortage. Why do you want this job? And what I want you to answer, Nathan, is if Douglas wins, what advice do you have for him?
I look at it 100%, 180 degrees differently. I look at it as like we are in a thriving town with a vibrant economy, a university that is pumping out incredible research that we can bring to market, right? And we've got a great school system. Thank you.
Yeah. No, good teacher.
And yes, we have some issues, but they're growing pains, and that is far better than having kind of shrinking pains or stagnation pains. Mm-hmm. And so yes, we have to solve this. I think we have the expertise in this community to deal with our problems. I just think it's a matter of getting us in the same room, getting us out of our corners, talking to each other. And we can find a way to, and keeping, kind of putting the main thing as the main thing. And that to me is a vibrant, thriving town.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
My dad
Good
always
answer.
says it's all about intention. So people that disagree, like you literally have to think, oh, what is your intention? It was a good intention. What is your intention? Well, this is also a good
Everybody
intention.
has
We're
good
all-
intentions,
Not
right?
everybody.
Okay, not everybody.
All
Well, I think we're all here because
But
this town is
most people.
special, right?
Yeah.
This town
It
is
is.
really beautiful, and
Yeah.
we're all here because of that.
Yeah.
And I think just finding ways to
Take care of it.
to take care of that is the key.
We want to keep that. All right, Chief
Yeah.
Advisor.
Yeah, I mean,
Nathan.
my advice to Douglas is, I think for one, to keep the positivity up. I mean, I think part of our roles in the community are to be Bozeman optimists.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a lot of frustration and pessimism. Just like Douglas said, it's because of the pace of growth, which is better than being a community that's shrinking. But I'll put in a word for our cause at Headwaters. Housing, it's not going away. Just because we have a high vacancy rate and rents have stopped going up doesn't mean that we've solved the problem. Headwaters ran a poll earlier in September, and we found that nearly 80% of Bozeman residents either themselves or have a loved one that have been personally affected by a shortage of housing options that are affordable to them. And we found that 68% of residents under 35 are having a hard time envisioning a long-term future in this community because of housing costs. So all that said, I agree with Douglas. I think the solutions are in this community. I think the resources are in this community if we choose to come together and tap them and invest in what I'd say is the largest problem that we're facing as a community.
Are you going to win?
Don't even talk to me about that.
Okay.
What
I have no
were the numbers
idea.
saying? What were the numbers saying?
All right, so this game, we're done with that. That was the hard part. Now the fun part. This
I don't
game,
know what it is. I never know what it
All
is.
right.
Just so you guys know, I have no leg up.
This
Only
game
leg
is
down.
called Outlaw Beats Best of Bozeman. Okay, I agree with the hyperbolic doom and gloomers out there. Bozeman is indeed on the brink of continuing to be the best city in America.
Boom.
Let's highlight some categories that most people overlook. All right, so I'm going to give a category, and you guys tell me what you think. We'll start with best drink deal in Bozeman. Who's got the best drink deal?
Like alcoholic drink?
I think so.
Clearly.
Sure.
The cat's paw? I don't know. No.
Okay,
We
so the
don't wanna-
brigade has the $3 martini.
That's what I was going to say. that one's pretty
But
deadly.
there is a cost to that $3 martini.
Yeah. Somebody's told me about that.
hidden
Yeah, good
cost.
idea.
There's a hidden cost.
$3 martinis, $3 draft beers, $3 oysters.
Yeah.
Happy hour, 3 to 6.
Messy.
That's the best deal in town. I think you're right. Best trail where people won't get pissy if your dog is off leash.
Not Bozeman Creek in the wintertime.
No, definitely not. Ooh, no.
Not
Was it
leverage.
Is it Kirk Hill?
Leverage.
Leverage is not that. Oh my God, we have people on bikes just like.
Yeah.
We just thought we were going on a hike, but people were biking. This one person yelled at us for going the wrong way, but we were going the right way.
It doesn't matter.
I
Don't go
think
there
Kirk
with your
Hill
dogs.
might be the spot.
Kirk Hill, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty
I
nice.
agree. That's
I
a
thought
pretty
Kirk
nice
Hill was an on-leash trail.
Oh my
No.
Oh.
No, dogs are free.
I don't see him on leash if they are.
Free.
All right, how about
Sourdough
this?
should be off leash.
Nicest
You heard it here.
restroom in a commercial building.
Oh.
Okay, are we talking Bozeman specifically?
Sure, I think so.
Because I would put the Royalton in New York City, frankly.
Oh, no. We're talking Bozeman here. Come on, you're running for mayor.
I know, I'm running for mayor.
Don't bring New York City into this.
restroom in a public space?
Yeah.
I kind of go ahead.
The market on the west side, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we live over there. We spend some time over
I've
there.
never tried that bathroom.
I like
It's a good
Check
spot.
it out. Check it out.
I like the restrooms in Shine.
Shine's on my list.
All right.
Shine's a good one.
But
Is the Tutti Bene?
Tutti Bene.
I haven't-
That's
Oh,
the
we haven't
answer.
been yet.
You got to check out
It's
the bathroom.
I can't get a
Beautiful.
reservation. How do you?
You
Just walk in.
I-
Walk in and be like, hey, can I
Doesn't-
sit? No, seriously.
I had to call and like really butter some
No, Eric
finger
said
food.
you just walk up. That's
Right.
that's the secret.
Has he walked
like
up?
6 o'clock on a Thursday. He
deal.
walked
Okay.
up and they
What?
gave him the table. Yeah.
Okay.
But you will want to eat in the bathroom.
Yeah. Eat and
Go in there. Trust me.
It's beautiful.
It's
very
it is-
French.
It's like a museum. It's gorgeous. How
or
about best
European, I suppose.
best dive bar that refuses to change even a little bit?
Hofbrau.
Yeah, the Hoff.
Oh yeah. I put the hop
I
out.
think it's the same graffiti from
Yeah.
like 25 years
Yes.
ago that's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the wall.
You want to say
that
the
the
Cat's
answer?
Paw, but
I
the
know.
Cat's Paw's turned into a casino too.
Yeah. What
about
And the
Hideaway?
Hoff hasn't.
Molly Brown has stayed pretty similar
Yeah,
too.
true.
I mean, just in the
True, the
Barbina.
Molly Brown has well, yeah, that whole,
Yeah.
that whole triangle, but
The
or-
filler, maybe. filling station.
Station.
Okay,
say words.
I'll
exists up
accept
there.
that.
Yeah.
Best place to get in a car accident. Give me the worst intersection in Bozeman.
Oh, best worst place.
Yeah, what's the most dangerous?
I should have that statistic.
Love
actually.
Lane. That Love Lane.
Oh, that's a bad one.
where-
It's the Wild West over there.
Yeah, because it gets so icy, you just
Yeah.
kind of like slide into another road.
Kind of going up and down. You
Yeah,
can't
it's
see
the up and
anything.
down ices.
I mean, selfishly, I'm going to say keggy and sourdough. I feel like
That's a good spot,
terrible-
too.
Terrible
Yep.
intersection.
Yeah.
Needs some work. We'll
Yep.
have a conversation with that.
I'm sure we can.
November
Yes.
5th.
Yeah.
Best
Roundabout.
place to
It's a
strike
roundabout.
up a conversation with a stranger.
Probably
What
go to the
is-
Hoff again.
You think it's the Hoff?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think the crew over there are some of the best folks
The
in town.
farmer's market.
Oh, sure.
It's fun. I mean, you're waiting in line for kettle corn. There's a stranger. What about
See,
you?
I'm at a disadvantage because I got to say people strike up conversations all the place. Sure.
On trails.
Sorry, that's just trails.
trails.
And whatnot.
Pete's Hill for me.
Pete's Hill. I was going
Yeah,
to say
totally.
Pete's
Yeah.
Hill
Yeah.
is a good place. Yeah. Right. Especially
meet
at the
a lot of
base
people.
there as you're, waiting for your dog to do its business, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think last best comedy. I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
bar makes
Oh,
it
cool.
really easy, and just the kind of general vibe and environment they have there. Best place to let your kids run around while you drink beer in peace.
Shine.
What's like a good brewery to sit at while your kids run around?
I would say the Gutlan, the
Ooh,
place
the
above
German
the
place.
German
I
place
haven't
above
tried
Yeah,
that.
the beer hall. It's kind of a cool
Okay.
place. They have some games and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah.
Okay.
And I love German food. I haven't been there yet. Anytime.
Map's not bad.
Oh yeah, Map is
Yeah,
also a good spot.
They can just kind of
Yeah.
mill around.
Summertime's pretty sweet.
Best place, this is very specific. Best place to take your car when every other place in town is saying they're booked out for 6 weeks.
Oh,
Walmart.
College Exxon. Walmart, did you say?
Walmart for your tires.
Oh, for the
yeah.
tires.
You can just get in there early first thing in the morning. But should we not even be telling
What did
people
you
about
say?
that?
College Exxon?
College Exxon.
College
Is
Exxon.
that like over by Pickle Barrel?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. I forgot
Dave,
about
this is
them.
great. He can fit you in.
I used to
Interesting.
take my car there. I've completely forgotten about
So
College
good.
Exxon.
Best lightly comedic podcast in Bozeman.
Oh,
Probably this one.
right here.
This is the one.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I would say heavily comedic. I mean, not topics wise, but yes. Thank you guys so much for playing
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, that was really
great.
fun. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time. Learned a lot today. And best of luck in the elections. Hope it all goes the right way.
Oh, yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
See you, Brigade, in a couple hours.
Yeah, right? I'm actually headed